David from the Thrifty Mechanic here to kind of give you a little tool review real quick. Basically what I'm going to be going over today is something you've seen a couple of times before, but I'm deciding to kind of go a little more in depth as to why I like it so much, and that is the Gearwrench 120 XP series ratcheting wrenches. So basically what this is a flex head with a comfort grip, and it's got a good flex head on it. It's not super loose. It's got a little locking tab in there that kind of locks it in place unless you put some pressure on it. So it's a really neat little tool. As you can tell, I've gotten a little sun. I've been doing a lot of work lately at home, and I've been getting cooked. So forgive me. It's hotter than sin in here, and I got my fan going. That's about all that's keeping me alive right now. And I've been doing a little bit of work. So basically, why I like this is just how long it is. I mean, it's an 18-inch, maybe not 18, probably 16-inch long ratchet. And that's really important because it gives you a lot of leverage. And it's got this nice little lip on it so you can kind of keep your finger on the end of it. Or if you're one of those guys that like to do it like that, or whatever you fancy. It's one of those things you can even hold it like that if you wish. But I really like it because it just feels like it has such fine teeth. It says 120 on it to kind of give the illusion that it has 120 teeth. It doesn't. It has 60 teeth and a dual pole system, which gives it the feel of 120. And basically, instead of it being like a regular pole system where everything's doing this, it's a dual pole where everything's going like this. So it's doing the same thing except twice as much. And if you really want to see what the internals of this look like, if you go to Real Tool Reviews, he does a really awesome explanation on the internals of this. He doesn't go into how practical it is in like the field, but he does go into a real in-depth view of the tool itself. So I think like between getting a little bit of in-depth review from me and getting a lot of in-depth review from him, he talks about everything from what kind of metal it's made of to the type of mathematics they're using to come up with these numbers. So it's really good, and I think he offers a lot of great advice. So go to Real Tool Reviews. It's on YouTube. He's a great guy. He's got the black hat. You can't miss him. Practically, it's a lot better than a regular ratchet because it's a low profile. My snap-on ratchet is just a hair thicker. And, you know, that hair makes the difference. While that one probably has a little bit beefier gears inside of it, I'm looking for fineness here. And all it takes is 3 degrees. It even says it on the on and off switch right here, which is recessed, by the way, so it's hard to get hit when you're using it in a really tight space compared to the snap-on that's out there like a sore thumb. I mean, you see how far that sticks out. This one's recessed with the body. So, yeah, you can still hit it. You can still do that stuff to it, and it can switch it, but it's a lot harder to do it now because everything's recessed. And the on-off is literally stamped into the casing, which is really good because sometimes that stuff gets worn off, and not that it actually matters because once you use them enough, you just know. But it's just one of those nice to haves. I like it. So it's one of those things like, if I like it, I'm gonna get it. So why do I have multiple ratchets? Because each one serves a different purpose. And this one, when my snap-on won't do it, this normally will, because it's got about 4 inches on the snap-on. Well, not about 4, probably 2. Probably about 2 inches on the snap-on. And about 1.5 inches. But it has about 1.5 inches on the snap-on, and that equates roughly to about, for every 100 pounds, I'm getting an extra 12.5 or 1.5 pounds of actually 10.5 pounds of so I'm not going to be putting no 100 pounds, 200-300 pounds of torque on this, but that's the mathematics behind it, and I think that's really great. The longer it is, the better it is. if you don't know the equation for torque, or foot-pounds anyway, for every foot you multiply. So think of a foot as 1, and it always stays at 1. And then you take torque, which is multiplied by that. So if you got 2 feet, like you got a 2-foot long breaker bar, and you're putting 100 pounds of force on the end of it, not that you'd measure it, but if you were, you'd get 200 foot-pounds of torque coming out of it, at the head of it. Whereas if you had, like, say, a 3-foot torque wrench or a torque bar or something, and you're putting 100 pounds of force on it, you're going to get 300 foot-pounds. So that's how torque is measured. It's basically whatever amount of power. So say X times 1 is your foot-pounds. And if you're trying to do inch-pounds, you just take X times 1 divided by 12. Or X divided by 12, whatever you want to do. But I feel that when you do the whole step, it makes it better. But you get a little bit more torque out of this, and it's a little bit more shallow profile. And God, it's cheaper. It's probably 20 bucks, 30 bucks for this, in comparison to my Snap-on, which is about 170. So there's a big difference in price there, and this one has more link to it. So I use this when I'm doing something I could possibly break my wrench with. But yeah, it's a great ratchet. It holds on real good. The socket retention's real good on it. It's not like the Snap-ons where you gotta like rip it off, but it's definitely got it there. The socket's not going anywhere, and that's really important. God, it's hot. It's hard to think with it being so hot out here, but this is the name of the game whenever you're in this business. They aren't going to give you any kind of air conditioning. The ratchets are great. They also have a 3/8, I mean not 3/8, but 1/4 inch. They also have a 1/4 inch version, which is about 7 inches, maybe 8 inches long. About 7. And it works really well. I mean, in comparison to my Snap-on, which is 4 inches, I mean, golly, look at that. It's heaps and bounds more torque per inch or whatever than this. So I don't want to damage this because I spent a lot of money on it. But this, if I damage it, no harm, no foul, I'll get it warranted and I won't have to worry about it. Because sometimes the Snap-on guy's not going to have these because he doesn't sell these every day. He sells the longer ones, and he sells these and stuff because you're not going to use 1/4 inch every day, and if you do, you need to get better tools. But I use 1/4 inch very rarely, so I don't want to spend buttloads of money on it. I use normally 3/8, which is where all my money's at, and 1/2 inch where my money's at. And the third and final one is my 1/2 inch. Now this one's a little bit beefier. It's got a bigger head on it, wider, so the gears are bigger. The gears on it are a little more grabby. It's 84 tooth, so it's still very fine for what it is. And the on-off switch is beveled on each side, so I think that's really cool. Let your finger grab on it quicker, and if your hands are oily, it's still going to grab it. It's not going to slip right off, and you're not going to be sitting there fighting with it for about 5 or 10 minutes. Not that you would, but if you did, you never know. But it's a really, really awesome tool. It also has the comfort grip. Now they have one that is a flex head, but it does not have comfort grip, so that's why I kind of avoided that. It's also, I think, 40 bucks more for a flex head with no comfort grip, and I'm like, you know, I don't use a 1/2 inch ratchet that much, and if I want a flex head one, I'll just get the SHF LF or whatever it is from Snap-on that's 2 foot long. I can find them on eBay for like 120 bucks, so I might just do that if I decide to. But yeah, to keep this video fairly short, these ratchets are really good, and if you really, really want a good in-depth version that speaks solely on the ratchet, not on its usability and the workhorse, go to Real Tool Reviews. The guy is great. I can't remember his name offhand, but he's a good guy, and I'm sure he'll see this. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. Make sure you go look, like, comment, subscribe on his stuff, because he's got a lot of great information for you guys. He also does really good reviews on toolboxes. Milwaukee's a real good one for him. And he'll kind of open your eyes to different brands and like why you shouldn't always buy big bad stuff. He explains it in a way to show you that value is out there if you look for it. So keep your eyes open, guys. Stay thrifty out there. I'm David from Thrifty Mechanic. Have a great day.